College football always delivers, but do we really realize what we are witnessing on this Saturday, the last Saturday of September? Do we really realize what we're witnessing this last Saturday in September? It's been building toward this. We are seeing possibly a new era of college football. We are seeing just chaos across the board. We are seeing where no, not everyone can beat anyone, but tons of teams can beat tons of other teams. We are seeing this unlike anything we've seen in recent years. North Carolina State, Clemson, going to a second overtime. Clemson, a 9 or 10-point favorite. And of course, even that's a shock that they're even that close of a favorite, because Clemson came into the season as the prohibitive ACC favorite, the king, owned the conference, no question. North Carolina State has been a middling program, win 45% of their games in the ACC. And what we are watching right now is a repeat thus far of 2016, in which Clemson was able to survive a missed kick by North Carolina State, in which Clemson got lucky. They didn't make a play, but North Carolina State missed a kick, and Clemson ultimately got its act together and won the national championship in 2016. Here we are. Oh my, did you see that play just made in the corner of the end zone? Devin Leary completes a touchdown pass in the corner of the end zone to Carter. North Carolina State has just taken the lead on Clemson. NC State has missed 3 field goals in this game. To put it in perspective, 2 of the kicks were plus 50 yards. But of course, North Carolina State could have won the game at the wire in regulation 17-14 with a made 39-yard field goal. They missed. The field goal kicker hooked it. They go to overtime. Clemson scores first. Justin Ross with a touchdown from DJ Uiagalelei. North Carolina State comes back for the tying TD. And now Devin Carter has made a remarkable catch in the corner of the end zone for NC State. We may see a 2-loss Clemson team, 1 loss in the ACC. So still in decent shape to win the ACC, but still chaos ensuing across the country here. So we have this situation in Raleigh, in which I believe this touchdown is going to be upheld. I don't see any reason why Carter did not catch the ball. NC State can take the lead in the second overtime against Clemson. Of course, they'll have to go for 2 points on the conversion. And then if Clemson comes back and scores in the third overtime, they would have to go for 2-point plays consistently. All right. Also today, understand that there is less than a minute to go on the Plains at Jordan-Hare Stadium. And Georgia State is beating Auburn 24-19. Auburn does have the ball inside the Georgia State 10-yard line, but Auburn is losing to Georgia State 24-19 with a minute left in the game. Georgia State, I think that's the same Georgia State that beat Tennessee in Knoxville a couple of years ago. Crazy. Addison Bank gives us Addison Book gives us an update here. Georgia State up 5 on the 23 Auburn with 102 Auburn in field goal range. Well, in field goal range, they need 5 points. They're down 24-19. So NC State's got the 2-point conversion upcoming here. And Devin Leary's scrambling, getting chased, and no. So they're not going to make it. So Clemson, if they score, get the 2-point play, they win. Okay, also consider today, what else happened today? We had a Notre Dame team that was not a big upset. That was not unheard of. That was not chaos. That wasn't anything like that. Notre Dame's been near the elite the last 4 or 5 years. But Notre Dame was, for some reason, a touchdown underdog in that game. And that was confounding to me. But Notre Dame is now becoming a possible player in all this. A number of people have mentioned in the live chat. Yes, Sue, I love it too. A number of people have mentioned in the live chat about Rutgers and Michigan. Rutgers dominated the second half of that game. Okay, Michigan gets out with a win. That's all that matters. They're done 4-0 now. and Rutgers loses. But Rutgers completely outplayed them. They showed a stat late in the game. Rutgers had 13 first downs to 0 in the second half. NC State gets one stop on first down. Justin Ross couldn't come up with a great catch. We pretty much can't take any reasonable game off the table in terms of considering an upset now. There are some games out there that we can't. Yes. Consider this. Iowa State, they were the team that was going to challenge Oklahoma. That was the team that everybody considered that was the team in the Big 12 that could challenge Oklahoma, right? That's the only team anybody considered. Iowa State was the one team that had a shot against Oklahoma. Baylor is now 4-0, beat Iowa State. Iowa State, why were they ranked in the top 15 in the country? I'll get into the rankings business, not today. Today's all about the games. I'll get into the rankings over the weekend, Sunday, Monday. We'll talk about the rankings because there's so much wrong with the rankings. It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. So Addison Book says touchdown Auburn. So Auburn escaped. That's too bad. Not that I have anything against Auburn, but was just rooting for Georgia State to pull off the big upset. Clemson throws to the end zone. That one's out of bounds. So now we've got 4th and 5. Clemson 4th and 5. They're losing by 6. What was the other result? Another one. Minnesota just beat the Buffs, Colorado Buffs, 30-0. Gave up 60 yards of total offense. That Minnesota, Bowling Green's been inept this year. Minnesota, good, decent, mid-tier Big Ten team, 31-point favorite, loses to Bowling Green, 14-10. So it looks like Auburn survived. There is still 45 seconds on the clock, but Auburn's taking the lead over Georgia State. What else really got me going today? So again, our team that was 12 team to take down Oklahoma, the only one, the one that was supposed to be able to take on that challenge, Iowa State, loses to Baylor. So they've lost 2 games now. Clemson on the ropes, 4th and 5. Here we go. We can all watch it together. Clemson on the ropes. Auburn on the ropes against Georgia State. Minnesota, 31-point favorite, loses to Bowling Green. Yeah, Steve Ripley, Florida State. Well, that's the one. Some things just stay the same, I guess. Here we go. North Carolina State, Clemson. This always sucks because we all see it at different times, but hey, we'll see it within a few seconds together. DJ's back to pass. He floats one to the right sideline and misses Justin Ross in the game. Clemson's not that good. I don't know. Maybe this is an 8-4, 7-5 Clemson team. But look at that scene at North Carolina State. We haven't seen a scene at North Carolina State like that in forever. But let's not peg North Carolina State as the second coming, like they're going to take over the ACC, because they're going to go out and they're going to play Wake, and they're going to go out and play BC and Louisville and all these other teams. They're all going to beat each other. I would be shocked. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised some moron. Did you see that fan, that NC State fan? Some complete runt was taunting E.J. Williams, taunting a football player that was actually out there in battle, you know, playing his butt off, playing a game, and then some little run of a fan who did nothing to contribute to the win, of course, is taunting him. That's ridiculous. But anyway, yeah, great stuff. Crazy college football weekend. Yes, PKL. Razorback Rick, you got to be happy. Those Hogs, that's another one. I was going to bring them up. All off season. Whoa. It was just said on the broadcast. Who knows where Clemson's going to be ranked after this loss? This is my point. They shouldn't be ranked. Why are they ranked? That's why the rankings are so screwed up. We're going to talk about the games. For as much as I really want to go down the trail of rankings and why the rankings are completely inane, Clemson didn't earn the number 9 ranking in the country. Iowa State hadn't earned their number 14 ranking. Texas A&M shouldn't have been ranked where they were. Yeah, Devin Carter, great. Let me get to your comments. Let's see if there's anything good in here. I did not expect to come on live right now. I will after the primetime games, but I just had to. I was just caught up in the moment. Really wanted to go live with all this. One Scoop John. One Scoop John. I don't think I've ever come across you before. Great to have you here. Okay, I defended the Michigan run game before, but what was that Harbaugh Gaddis play calling today? Felt like they were trying to hit a run up the middle quota this game. Cowboys slow. Hogs came through. They did. It's just me, Tim. It's the COVID effect. Everyone's squatting. Sue, yeah, we love it. Hummus Hero, I called Arkansas over A&M. Seemed like a sure bet. Well, come on, Hummus Hero. It wasn't a sure bet. Those two teams could play 10 times and split them. I felt pretty good about taking 5.5 points. They all seem like a sure thing after they're over. Addison Book, yeah, Georgia State, Auburn. It looks like did Auburn survive? Did they make it? Yes, Auburn won 34-24. Georgia State almost beat Auburn. And look at Tennessee. We were all talking big about Florida this week, coming off the narrow loss against Alabama and looking so impressive in the second half, coming back from 21-3 to make it 31-29. And who knows? Tennessee? Anybody for another upset? Tennessee in the swamp? I sure liked the 20 points in that one. Mo says Rutgers will learn to go for the kill when their opponent is hurt. Mo also says that Notre Dame is the best defense in the country. Well, I sure was impressed with Cam Hart, and in the past with Justin Hamilton's a great player, Kyle Hamilton, and yeah, Notre Dame's right up there. Penn State, Alabama, Georgia, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, defense. I'll still put Wisconsin way up there. That final score of that game, you had to see the game. That was a close game. That was a great game between Notre Dame and Wisconsin. Really good football game. Hummus. Clemson is just not very good this year. The offense is beyond pedestrian. Great day of college football, Mr. HD. Tom Nash. Mark? RE Michigan. That offense looks so average. Good opponents expose how bad and predictable it is. Yeah, they also have a tremendous defense. They also have a tremendous defense at Michigan. This Big Ten race looks like a free-for-all. That's what we talked about last week. Unless Ohio State can get its act together and play like we expect them to. Ohio State's still the most talented team. There's no question about that. But it looks like everybody in that Eastern Division looks like they could win a game, right? Who's the worst team in the Big Ten East? Indiana just played a State. Michigan State's playing great. I've got to flip on this game against Nebraska. Man, the Big Ten Eastern Division, 1 through 7. 1 through 7. The SEC West, 1 through 7. Arkansas is good now. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, the teams that are usually at the bottom. Mississippi State almost beat LSU today. But this Texas A&M situation, what did we talk about all off season? The games that were brought up for Texas A&M, and of course, Texas A&M was supposed to be the next one in line since they finished in the top 4 last year, went 9-1. That they just had to take their shot at Alabama. So everybody was just thinking Texas A&M, Alabama. No, way before they play Alabama, they had to deal with Arkansas. This Arkansas team, and this is why the rankings. Okay, I've told everybody I'm not going to get on the rankings today. I'm going to save that. Let's talk about the games, but that's why these rankings make no sense. Okay, Edison, this here, I know you're just responding to the rankings, but this is ridiculous. Wake Forest, they just beat Virginia convincingly Friday night. They should be ranked. I will rank Wake Forest. They have earned it now. I heard the comment that made by somebody doing the Clemson game that this almost completely derails the ACC and the college football playoff. Well, Wake Forest is 4-0. Why can't Wake Forest go to the college football playoff? They're 4-0. We should be looking at Wake Forest at 4-0, just like we would be looking at Clemson if they were 4-0 right now. But that's not the way college football is. Certain teams get preference. Other teams get looked down on. Certain teams have to lose like 8 times before somebody realizes they're not that good. Other teams have to win like 50 games in a row before somebody realizes, okay, let's consider them. Good to see everybody here. I just wanted to get your reaction to everything that was going on today. Again, Texas A&M goes down. We thought that Alabama was their game of the year. No, Arkansas takes them down, and Arkansas now has 2 really, really good wins. Minnesota loses as a 31-point favorite. Auburn came that close to losing to Georgia State. And again, Minnesota loses as a 31-point favorite. Hey, Gary, good to see you. Iowa State. Yeah, we talked about Iowa State. My college football playoff prediction of Notre Dame wasn't looking so good the first 3 weeks of the season. See, Johnny, here's what we got to update you on, Johnny Cash. The Hogs were already in the top 10. They were already in the top 10. You're looking at the wrong rankings. They were already in the top 10. Somebody had Arkansas 7 and Texas A&M 15 because that's what they had earned. The knuckleheads in the AP, well, they had Texas A&M 7 and Arkansas 16 because they hadn't watched the games, I guess. Thanks for the super chat. I will see who it is in just a second. Mr. TW. Yes, the Hogs. Mr. TW. Yes, your Hogs were amazing today. They even lost their starting quarterback, KJ Jefferson, for maybe a quarter when Lake Hornsby had to come in. But this kid right here is not surprised. Number 7. Chocobob. I've been telling anybody who is actually listening that the championship 4 will have at least 1 loss, maybe 2. I predicted before the season started Alabama and Georgia to have 0 losses, and Ohio State and who was my other team? Notre Dame to have 1 loss. But yeah, we could have 2 losses. We could have teams in with 2 losses. It's going to happen sometime. You know what happened in this Auburn game. I just flipped to the Auburn game when I noticed, okay, there's only a few minutes left in this game. and they're barely hanging on. And then I saw that Georgia State had the ball. You know what might have saved Auburn in this game? Georgia State had the ball. There was about 3.5 minutes left. They're at midfield. They're up 24-19. They throw a little swing pass out to their running back, who is wide open. Catches the ball, turns around, and falls down. There was nobody around him. He would have run for 25 yards, at least gotten the first down. And they would have been in field goal range and more. Auburn did get pretty lucky. Moostrick is telling us that Adrian Martinez is out. Excuse me real quick, folks. Just want to make sure these games are on the DVR. I am going to flip to the Michigan State-Nebraska game, which I assume is on Fox or on MS1. Actually showing a baseball game on Fox. Huh? Really? The Braves and the Padres. What do we have? Glavin going today? Nebraska, Michigan State on FS1. Okay. Back to it here. Yakov's here. November 27th. BC weight game could be a place in the college football playoff. Well, yes, BC won today. BC with a dramatic win over Mizzou today. Very, very cool game there. I caught the last couple drives and overtime. They were back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then BC scored with 25 seconds left. Mizzou kicked a 60-yard field, maybe a 56 or 7-yard field goal at the gun, but then they went to overtime. So BC wins 4-0. Wake wins 4-0. They both beat their first legit opponent this weekend. Steve, my therapist, Ohio State's loss doesn't look that bad now because of Clemson losing. Yeah, I think it doesn't look as bad because everybody's losing or everybody's getting threatened by lesser teams. Blake Jameson, Iowa game over under screwed my 5-game parlay. You don't play parlays. Maybe you should listen to me. Blake, you don't play parlays. They're a ripoff. If you would take my upset picks, you would be 6-2 in upset picks. And then against the spread, I don't know what we are today. I was 5-1 at noon. So go to Patreon, sign up. PKL, I'm not going to say that Graham Mertz is a joke, but yeah, he's not playing well. They would rather have Jack Cohn. If Jack Cohn played for Wisconsin, maybe Wisconsin beat Notre Dame today. Best team in South Carolina is Coastal. Wouldn't that be fun to be able to put those kind of situations together and say, you know what, we want to see Coastal and Clemson play? That would be awesome. I got to get to these super chats because the thing that annoys me more than anything that I hate is when I don't get them to the screen fast enough to get them up there so you guys get credit for them. So let me get there. Antoine Johnson, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Mark, I tried to explain to some Kool-Aid drinking Michigan fans that eventually we were going to have to pass. And today I was vindicated. Thankfully, we can learn with a win instead of an L. It's good to learn with those wins without the losses. Got to be able to throw the ball. Not seeing the stats. I got 3 screens going all the time. And at 3:30, the 3:30 game, I really wanted to see Texas A&M Arkansas. So that was my focus. But I had Michigan on and I had Clemson on. So I was keeping track of it, but I didn't really lock in on run-pass ratio. Gary asking who Nebraska's backup quarterback is. That would be Logan Smothers should be the backup quarterback playing right now, I believe. David Knight, yes, parody. Let me pick up these other super chats. I appreciate that, Antoine. Thank you so much for that. We got Matthew Miller on the line. Matthew hosts our Texas post game. So please head on over to the Texas channel. I checked it out for about 5 minutes today. I would love to be able to watch all our post-game shows here at the Voice of College Football, but I can't because I'm trying to actually watch football and take notes. And I sit here and take notes all day on these games. So, but I check in on all our post-game shows, and Matthew knows his Texas football. It's remarkable. So check out the Texas post-game. Of course, the Longhorns scored 70 today. Hey, Mark, I know I'm a Texas fan, but why is Jimbo Fisher billed as an offensive genius? When is the last time he produced something good? I guess that was supposed to be quarterback, wide receiver, running back in the NFL. Also, A&M has 2 TDs versus Power 5 opponents. One of those is Colorado. Yeah, one against Arkansas, one against Colorado. That's why I didn't rank Texas A&M that high, because I don't rank based on preseason perception. I base it on performance on the field. And Texas A&M beat up on New Mexico and Kent State. That doesn't really matter. They squeezed by Colorado. Don't want to see they got lucky. They squeezed by Colorado. Albeit, let's understand, Matthew, that Jimbo Fisher is working with his backup quarterback. This is not the quarterback he selected to win the job. That was Haynes King. So understand that. So his number one choice, Haynes King, hurt, should be back in about 5 or 6 weeks. First-rate quarterbacks for Jimbo Fisher. Well, he turned Kellen Mond into an NFL draft selection with the Minnesota Vikings. Jameis Winston, pretty good. Number 1 overall draft pick. I would have to really look into his work under Nick Saban at LSU. Wide receivers, running backs. Isaiah Smiller's a good one right now. And, of course, he had Dalvin Cook at Florida State, Devontae Freeman at Florida State. Wide receivers, Rashad Green was in second or third team All-American at Florida State. Kelvin Benjamin at Florida State. His quarterback, his wide receivers at Texas A&M have really underachieved. They really recruited the wide receivers well, but haven't come through. So I think I get your criticism, but he has produced top flight players both collegiately and moving on to the NFL. But they have not produced offensively this year, but they are playing with a backup quarterback. Hey, DeAndre, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for the contribution. Always appreciate it. Man, I love this game. This is fun. This is a lot of fun. And Alabama football fan, Roll Tide, good to see you. It's just me. Tim's looking for a breakout game from Jack Sawyer. Unfortunately, we're not going to have Ohio State post game tonight. I don't have anyone to do it. And it's just not the kind of game that we need to hit on. So everybody join me for post game after these 7:30 games: Oklahoma, West Virginia, Michigan State, Nebraska, Tennessee, Florida. We'll do post game and do calls tonight, like we always do. Yes, Notre Dame almost lost to Florida State. Almost lost to Florida State. Mr. TW, I think I caught that. Yes, thank you so much for that. Christopher, nobody had any idea that Bowling Green could beat Minnesota. I even saw somebody make that their lock of the week, that Minnesota would cover. How is Nebraska going to score in this game? Nebraska's offense is awful. And Michigan State's defense it's not ultra talented. It's not like it's Clemson or Georgia athletically, but it's really good. The Big Ten collectively has to have the best defenses in the country, right? Iowa, Michigan, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Penn State, Wow. Look at my guy down here, Falconer X. Appreciate that so much. All right, let's get through this real quick because we want to make sure. Antoine says Michigan needs to fire their offensive coordinator. They're certainly not going to do that while they're undefeated. I get that you don't like it, but they're racking up points before this. It's just not going to happen. I get your dissatisfaction, but they're running for 300 plus yards per game and scoring at will before this game. You know, there has to be multiple poor performances, and you wouldn't necessarily consider this a poor performance. It's a substandard performance offensively. But Rutgers can play defense. That's another thing we talked about all week, that Rutgers was going to play good defense against Michigan. I grabbed those 20 points, believe me. But that Rutgers was going to have issues scoring. Jameson Williams just ran it for a TD opening kickoff, apparently. Alabama Southern Miss. Sue's tracking Ohio State. Where in the world are they playing? On the Big Ten Network? Ohio State Akron. A couple bad passes from Kyle McCord. Chucky Bob is saying that Archie is the best defense in the country. I can't argue with that. I don't think you're right, but I can't argue with that. They're playing as well as anyone on defense. I would right now, off the top of my head, without really breaking it down, man, I think Georgia, Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama, Penn State, Wisconsin, Arkansas, all have tremendous defenses. I would tend to go, in Notre Dame, I would tend to go Georgia, wow. I have a lot of faith in Georgia's defense. And then after that, it would be difficult for me to separate that other group. I think there's a group there that includes Arkansas, that includes Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Penn State, Alabama, Clemson as the top defenses in the country. Michigan State can show me something again. I would consider them, if Michigan State can continue what they're doing, to put them in that defensive tier. And really nobody else. Maybe Oregon on that second tier. Blake, where did Sam Pittman come from? Well, he was an offensive line coach at Georgia. After Chad Morris was gone, I made the wild suggestion on the radio for them to hire the whole North Dakota State staff to replace him. Well, it's not a bad suggestion on your part. We've got Oklahoma State up 21-10 on Kansas State. I did like Kansas State in that game. You Hogs fans got to be loving life. This is beautiful, isn't it? Arkansas football hasn't been this good since Bobby Petrino decided to start riding co-eds around on his motorcycle. Sugar Bowl, Cotton Bowl Hogs under Bobby Petrino, right? 2010, 11, 12 in that range, 2010 and 11. And then Brett Bielema seemed to have it working, brought it up, and then he hit the skids at 4-8. He was out the door, and Chad Morris was a disaster. But man, Sam Pittman. It's remarkable that I don't think at times with this Miami situation being what it is, we've had a lot of conversations in recent days about Miami trying to replace Manny Diaz and whether you need an established head coach or not. I don't think there's a perfect formula to that. Sure, it's safer to hire an established head coach because he's proven that he can handle a program. But we've got all sorts of examples of guys that never were head football coaches that are up to the challenge. Sam Pittman, Ryan Day and Lincoln Riley, I put them in a different category because the programs they took over were just so amazing, just so rock solid, strong, elite. Michigan State's going to the end zone. Sparty's got a touchdown. Peyton Thorne up top to Jaden Reed. Oh, yeah, next week. Chucky Bob, next week, Ole Miss going to Tuscaloosa, yes. Mitch Mustaine, haven't heard that name for a long, long time. Ryan Mallett, we're bringing back the old names today. Hey, Elias, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it as well. And for as much as we crank out a ton of content, believe me, I've got more content ideas that I would love to get to, but I just don't get to them every week. But we will do the best we can. And I appreciate everybody being here. Again, I didn't plan on this live stream. I just got excited about the Clemson, North Carolina State situation, the Auburn situation, Minnesota losing as a enormous favorite. All the crazy things going on in college football got me excited. So I just wanted to jump on here, hear what you guys had to say, share the rest of the Clemson, North Carolina State game with you. Now I'm going to lock it in for some primetime college football. I'll be back after the primetime games to take your calls. All right? Thank you, everyone, for being here. We got Ryan Hinkey on the line. Is Notre Dame underrated or is Wisconsin overrated? Well, Ryan, I think we need to realize that the difference between those two teams is not 41-13. That was the final score of the game. But that was a 17-13 game until 6 minutes left. So that was a really good game. So there's not much separation between Notre Dame and Wisconsin. So what were their rankings coming into this game? I don't even know. I think Notre Dame was 12 and Wisconsin was 18. So I don't think there was a... I had Wisconsin unranked. And as I explained, not that I don't think they're one of the 25 best teams in the country, but they had not earned a ranking. And I had Notre Dame at number 14. And of course, they will now benefit from that win, which I consider to be a quality win, despite Wisconsin being 1 and 2. That's a quality win. Neutral site against Wisconsin. So that's a difficult question to answer because in my eyes, neither. I believe Notre Dame is one of the 10 best teams in America, and Wisconsin's one of the 15 or 20 best teams in America. I think that they're that close. They could play tomorrow, and Wisconsin could win. Okay, we hear this all the time. The problem is Notre Dame hasn't played anyone. Okay. If this can be said about Notre Dame, this can be said about almost everyone in the country. They just played Wisconsin today. Officer Brimley, come on, Wisconsin. Played Wisconsin. And I know you're not going to say, well, how good is Wisconsin? We know Wisconsin's good. They're just good. How good? Top 15 to 20 good. So Notre Dame has looked pretty mundane, but I believe Purdue's a pretty good team. I don't know what happened with Purdue and Illinois today. It was 6-6 at one point in that game. I think Purdue won. They're 3-1. Purdue's a top 40 to 50 team in America, and Wisconsin's a top 15 or 20 team. So Notre Dame's beaten, and they will have played a better schedule than most teams in America when it's all said and done. Virginia Tech's coming up, North Carolina, Cincinnati, USC. Chucky Bob, I hope you're right. Not because I'm a Notre Dame fan, but because I picked them to go to the playoff. Jack is likening Ole Miss to LSU 2019. Easy Money says Notre Dame is still an overrated joke. Okay, we don't have anything to base that on. Yeah, Derwake, you would be sad. 70 points is a lot of points. And you probably are just sick of Texas. You're probably, if you're a Texas Tech fan, even though Texas hasn't done anything in a decade, I would think that you would just be sick of hearing about Texas. Yeah, I get that. All right, everyone. We'll see you after the primetime games tonight. We'll be taking your calls. So if you want to hear some good conversation on college football, back late tonight after the primetime games, around 11:30. See you then. Thank you so much, everyone.